Hi, this is Craig Haskell with the Value Hound Academy. You're listening to another exclusive interview with a leading authority in the syndication of value-add real estate. Hey, and you know, there are many real estate professionals looking to break into the syndication game just like you to get your first deal done. But for some reason or not, can't seem to pull the trigger, can't seem to pull it off. So I ask you, are you one of those professionals? Are you having a hard time pulling the trigger? Well, if you are, hey, I've got a real treat for you in this interview because we're going to be speaking with Adam Ross, who is founder of Pragma Investments, who like many real estate professionals, wanted to start doing his own deals and had been kind of watching the syndication game from the bench. But he finally made a change. He finally made that transition to syndicating his first deal. And what's kind of cool in this interview, we're going to have an honest conversation with Adam about the transition that he made to finally get going. You know, how he got started, some of the processes that he went through, the lessons that he learned along the way. And I got to tell you, he's literally going to walk you step by step on how he got his first and his second deal done. Yeah, this story has an interesting twist, which I'm looking forward to sharing with you. So in this interview here, you're going to learn with Adam just a few things here, how he actually raised $3.5 million. And through that process, he was actually surprised in how easy it was to raise that money. You're also going to learn the most important thing that he did to get his first deal done. Yeah, he had to do this to get his first deal done. You're going to learn that. Going out and getting financing is an issue for new syndicators. And he's going to talk about how he actually got non-recourse debt for his deal. And he also went to his investors and got them to agree to higher fees without any sort of resistance from the investors because they understood the value that Adam was bringing to the table. You're going to understand and learn the turning point that Adam went through to finally get started, to finally get his first deal done. And then ultimately here, you're going to learn how this whole process has changed Adam's business and life really forever. So guys, this interview is loaded with lots of real world, lots of nuts and bolts information on how you can finally get in the game of buying and syndicating value-add properties to get your first deal done. So guys, do yourself a huge favor. Please do yourself a big favor. Set aside some time, and I want you to listen to this high-value interview with Adam Ross. You'll love it. All right, Adam, thanks so much for getting on this call with us. I'm really excited to talk to you about how you started your syndication business, how you got going. You got your first deal done this year, and so we're going to talk about it as we go forward. But first, I want to get a flavor for what was holding you back. I know you and your partner have done multi-million-dollar deals. You've been in the business for 10 years. This is a game you understand. But I wonder if you could share with us kind of what was holding you back to getting going, because obviously you have the talent to do that, to get going, but something was holding you back. What would that be?
Well, I mean, I think that, the first thing was that we, my partner and I both, had our regular jobs working for, private equity groups that, took a tremendous amount of our time, and we felt like taking on something on our own we have families and we have other things going on that we wouldn't be able to handle everything at one time. That was really the first thing. And then secondly, I think we had some real apprehension about, our ability to raise money for a deal and syndicate a deal without having experience separate of our corporate careers as individuals. So I'd say those two things were probably the two things that held us up.
Well, at some point you got to that decision-making process where you said, okay, the time's right. What do you think that turning point was for you in that decision-making process?
Well, my partner discovered you. That's the first thing. Discovered that there was a program out there that could assist us in, focusing our time and focusing, utilizing our strengths to become our own syndicators and put deals together. And, I'll be perfectly honest. I was somewhat skeptical at first when he brought, your program to me. But the more that I learned about it and heard about it, the more I realized that that first we needed a coach. We needed someone to guide us, along the way. But also we needed a structure where, no matter what happens in our day-to-day lives with our work and business, our work and our family, that we, carve out time and hold each other accountable and have a program that holds us accountable to making sure that we're taking the appropriate steps and moving in the right direction in our own syndication business. And that's exactly, what your program provided for us.
Well, awesome. Appreciate that. Now, let's talk about getting your first deal done. And the very first thing you did was you create a strategy, right? You create a plan, and you put that together in your pitch book.
Right.
I want you to walk us through the process that you went through of finding that focus, that one thing that you were going to go after so that you weren't chasing rabbits all over the place.
Right. Well, the first thing, and, is 2013 here, this year, my partner and I just made a concerted effort to start looking at deals that, we felt we could add value to, and we weren't necessarily, initially, weren't necessarily focused on student housing. We were looking at all kinds of deals, regular multifamily stuff, and we kind of came upon student housing based on my prior experience, and we just, felt like it was the best fit for us. Once we discovered that, and we started, getting the word out that we were looking for a potential deal. We got the word out with some, just kind of initially with some potential investors, and then, and then with some brokers, and we ultimately heard about our deal, the deal we bought in North Carolina. It was a marketed deal through a big, big brokerage house, and that's how we came about it.
Well, you think about the pitch book. It's so important to really getting that focus, coming up with a business plan and what it is you're going out hunting for.
Right.
And I try and preach this to most people that are trying to get in the business, trying to get in the syndication business, and something unique we do here at the Value Hunt Academy, and you guys have done just that. And I want you to share with us kind of the big asset you found on how it's helped you, this pitch book. How has it helped you?
The pitch book has been our backbone. There is no way that we would have gotten a deal done, never mind two, without the pitch book. The pitch book allowed us, it's got us in a lot of doors with investors, with actually sellers. They saw our vision. We were very able to show, our vision on the property to a seller, which got them excited that we were for real and that we, had big plans and, for their property, and also with lenders. I mean, there's no way that we would have made the inroads we did with ultimately our lender without our pitch book. That the process of going and putting the pitch book together, though, was in itself, very beneficial for us because it allowed us to hone in on a much more micro level on what exactly we wanted to do and what we thought we could be really good at. It's one thing to say we want to buy student housing properties and we want to, put some CapEx money into the property and make it a nicer place to live for college students. It's another thing to really start combing through the details of what that means. How do you do it? What do you do? What our vision is? Where, in the market that we're going, the markets that we're looking at, why are those markets, why are some markets better for us than others, those kinds of things. It really allowed us to focus with laser pinpoint precision on exactly what we wanted to execute.
That's awesome, and it's so important to have some focus when you're going out, because people understand what it is you're looking for, and you're better able to communicate that message to them, and
Exactly.
it gives them confidence. So you create your plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's built around not just apartments, but providing student housing, creating a lifestyle
Right.
for students. And you start searching for your property back in, I believe it was June.
That's right.
Walk us through that process, kind of how you found your first deal.
Well, we saw a bunch of stuff. I mean, we were very focused on the kind of market we wanted to be in, both geographically, from a student body, population standpoint, and saw a bunch of deals, some stabilized, some unstabilized, that made sense, on the macro level. And then, as we dug in a little deeper, we, decided not to pursue. But then we came across a deal, in North Carolina that was brought to us by CB Richard Ellis, big brokerage company that was a marketed deal and had the story. The property had the kind of story we were looking for. And once we really saw the economics behind the property and learned a lot about the market at that particular university, we started to feel really good that this was the deal for us, that we could really add a tremendous amount of value and deliver the kind of lifestyle that we spelled out in our pitch book in this market.
So what was the value add opportunity in this deal? What did you see? Why did you get so excited about it?
Well, this particular property was unique in that it was bank owned. I take that back. It was actually owned by a debt fund that acquired the note post foreclosure. It was owned and operated by a husband and wife team that actually built the property, and they owned it for 20 years. And at one point in time, it was incredibly successful with 100% occupancy in the market. And then, due to some family circumstances between the husband and wife, the property, became less desirable. They, some would argue, mismanaged, and was not maintained as well as it probably should have been, and lost in foreclosure. And it gave us the opportunity to buy it from this debt fund that was looking to liquidate the note that they purchased in a whole bunch of notes. And so we felt really good that, one, we were buying it at a reasonable price, but secondly, just given its history, it had been neglected for a period of time. We felt like we could come in and really bring it back and make it a cool, exciting place to live while you're going to college, not just a place to lay your head, happen to be the cheapest rent in the market.
So the numbers look great, right? It's a great
Right.
value opportunity. You crunched them. You got excited. You went through the process of negotiating the deal. You got it tied up. You put it in escrow. And so one of the big hurdles you have to go over is debt financing,
Yes.
right? So walk us through that process that you went through to get that.
Yeah, and that process, I would say was one of the more concerning things for us up front. We were not sure, just given the current lending market and the fact that this was our first student housing deal of its kind, that we were going to be able to secure the kind of debt we needed to get this done. We quickly found out that the equity side of it was going to be much easier for us. We had a lot of interest very early on. The debt side was not as easy. We had several mortgage brokers tell us that the idea of getting unsecured, non-recourse debt was going to be impossible for a deal of this size. It was, most thought too small, or maybe not sexy enough in a market that isn't that appealing maybe to some lenders. And we were very fortunate that we came across the right mortgage broker who felt like we may be able to get that non-recourse lending we were looking for at a reasonable rate by a capital investment company that specializes in deals like this that are unstabilized, value add, under $10 million kind of deals. And so we were introduced to them and started going through the process, and were, again, very fortunate to be able to secure that debt.
Yeah, and it's non-recourse. I mean, you had a tough time finding debt that was non-recourse.
Yes, but I would give anyone that's going through this the advice that, the mortgage brokers, like any other profession, they're gonna go after the low-hanging fruit first, right? I mean, they want to do deals that are easy for them, where they're kind of no-brainer deals for the mortgage companies, and they can shop the deal around and try to find their client the best rate and then collect their commission. We had to really challenge our mortgage broker to, hey, look, like, this is what we want, and we know we can get it. It's about digging and finding an entrepreneurial lender that understands our vision and understands that the value that we're going to bring to this deal. And like I said, fortunately, we were able to find that lender. And but I would tell anyone to make sure that that you challenge your mortgage broker, that you don't just take no for an answer right away. Because if we had taken no for an answer, we never would have gotten this deal done. We would have just believed from all the people that told us that we couldn't get a non-recourse loan. We would have believed that to be true, and would have the train would have stopped rolling right then.
That's a great tip, Adam. I appreciate that. Well, let's talk about the equity side now. You raised, in the end, over $3.5 million
right
on your first deal.
Yep.
And you really didn't have a tough time doing it. It was pretty easy, as easy goes for your first deal. But
right.
It wasn't a big challenge like you initially thought. I mean, that's a lot of money for a first deal from somebody. So I want to ask you. I want you to walk us through the process, because during the process of raising money for your deal, another deal kind of came into your lap. You had another deal pop up that was basically adjoining the property you're trying to buy. I want you to walk us through that second deal and the opportunity that you saw with that deal,
Yep.
and how you went about raising money for both properties.
Okay, so we started we started the fundraising process way before we even put an offer in on the first deal. We started planting seeds with friends and family and business associates who we thought may have an appetite for student housing, multifamily properties. And and the pitch book allowed us that our pitch book just allowed us to bring something to those initial meetings to show that, hey, we weren't just talking about doing something, we were actually going to do it, and it got people excited. And so they started asking, hey, have you found a good deal yet? Waiting to hear back from us on whether where we were in the search. Once we found the deal, then we were able to go back with that deal to those people that we initially touched. Said, look, we found a really good deal, and explained the economics of it, and explained how much money we thought we were going to have to raise, and what that money was going to be allocated to. And we started raising money in fairly small chunks. We were raising money in small quantities, and we gained momentum very quickly once we were able to get a couple people on board. The fact that some smart affluent, successful people were willing to put their money in this, gave us some credibility with other investors. And then those investors ended up referring us additional investors. And the initial list we put together with you as you know, with potential investors, we hit all of those people, but ultimately the people who invested with us were some people on our initial list and then friends of theirs. And that was great. The momentum, I would say the most surprising thing of this whole process for me, and it was a pleasant surprise obviously, was that, you know, we raised, like you said, we raised $3.5 million. It's a lot of money, and when you start at zero, you know, you're looking up that mountain at $3.5 million, going, how are we ever going to get there? But once you get it rolling, it is surprising how quickly you climb up the ladder. That, you know, people come and want to invest, and if you have a good deal and you're willing to treat your investors right, you know, people are willing to put money in deals like this, and it actually does go pretty fast. And then once you get people excited about it and they invest their own money, they feel almost an obligation to tell their friends about it. Like, they don't want their friends to miss out on a great opportunity. And so that's exactly what happened. And so we had a very unique situation that we raised all of the equity for the first deal that we needed, and then a month or so prior to our closing date, it was brought to our attention that the property adjacent to ours, the one we had under contract, was going up on an auction website for sale. That property was bank-owned, and given the circumstance of where that property was located and the challenges that we knew existed at that property, we felt like we were the best buyer for that property by far, and decided that it made perfect sense for us to go after that deal. It made perfect sense for us as a syndicator. It also made perfect sense for our equity partners that we brought into the first deal, because it really it lowered our basis per bed, first of all, and it just created this critical mass that we still feel is crucial to the for our long-term vision of the property and what we want to do in this market. So we decided to go after it. The big challenge in going after it was we had just gotten done raising all of this money for the first deal, and now we had to turn around and raise a substantial amount of money for the second deal. And really, kind of felt like we had exhausted the resources, the investor pool that we could go to. What we found out once we went back to a couple of our key investors was that they too, like us, saw the vision, saw exactly why it made sense for us to buy the second property, and we actually had 4 individual investors step up and say, "Hey, we think it's important enough to the whole group that we'll pony up and get this deal done." And that, and it was that was fantastic, because our fundraising for the second deal took 2 hours. It was one conversation. That's probably an exaggeration, but it didn't take very long. It was a conversation with with one major investor, who insisted that we had that told us he was in as long as we had a couple others, and we had then a conversation with a second investor who said he would be in and would get us the third and fourth investor. So it was a quick process on the second deal. We were able to raise a lot of money and close that deal as well. And I can imagine as at the beginning of this, when we first started talking about syndicating deals, if I heard a story like this, I would, the naysayer, in me would say, yeah, I mean, these guys got really lucky and found the right people, the right investors, and a whole series of circumstances allowed them to buy 2 deals in one shot, and that's a 1 in a million kind of thing. But I'm telling you that it was, it really wasn't. It was much easier on the equity side than I think my partner and I could have imagined. We were very now. Don't get me wrong. We had some sleepless nights, because you know that you have a great deal, and the only way to get it done is to raise the equity. We knew, basically what the debt side was going to bring to the table. We needed to raise the rest in equity, and so you have a deal locked up, and you have people breathing down your neck, the seller and their agent breathing down your neck, and wanting to get the deal closed and done. And there's some pressure on you, but if you just stay the course and just be committed to every day waking up and chasing that money, and knowing that you're not asking people to do you a favor by investing. What you're really doing is you're presenting an incredible opportunity to people to invest their money and allow their money to make them money, and people want to do that, And so anyway, that was a long-winded story, but that was the process.
Well, it gets a little better because you guys actually had to say no to some investors, right? That wanted to invest in your deal.
Right. So we did. We had some people that that were kind of going back and forth on whether they wanted to invest initially, and they finally came forward and said that they did. And at that point, we were closed out. And then on the second deal, we had some investors come and say they would put, they were already in on the first deal, that they would put money into the second deal, and we had already closed that out as well. And that gave us great hope that in our next deal, whenever that is, and I'm sure we'll talk about that here, but that we're going to have people that feel good about investing with us in something else. We created quite a demand.
Well, so you get both deals closed. The first one you got closed sometime towards the end of September.
Right.
That's where we're here in 2013. And then in early October, you get the second deal done. And that's roughly 3 months from the time you got started trying to buy a deal, which is actually pretty quick. Right. Tell us how you feel on finally getting that first deal done, and obviously the second deal.
Oh, I mean, it's I'm not sure I can come up with words to describe it. It's it's exciting. It's it gives my partner and I both a whole different focus on from a business perspective on our future. It's just it's a monumental step for both of us in our business, our professional lives. And looking back now, and especially doing something like this and talking about the entire process, you look back and feel really good that you accomplished something. But it's really it's a doable thing. It really is, and you just have to be persistent and steadfast in that. It is work, and it is hard work. But if you are committed to it, and it just it's amazing what you can accomplish in a short period of time. 3 months is not a long time, and we bought 2 big deals. So
yeah. Well, you went through that process, and obviously it was your first deal. Like you said, you had some late nights, and you had to work hard.
Sure.
What were 3 or 4 big lessons that you learned as you went down that path to get that first deal done?
Oh, there were a lot of lessons. Anytime you do something for the first time, I think you can't help but make mistakes and learn from them. In our case, we were fortunate that mistakes that we made, we were able to correct before they, totally killed the deal. There were a lot. I think the biggest things were just timing. Things, when the order of events, what needs to happen and when. Going in, I really felt strongly that we needed to start the fundraising process much earlier than we actually ended up starting it. Legal documents and private placement memorandums and all of that stuff, and we really waited. We didn't get private placement memorandums out until a couple weeks before we closed, and that was the best thing we ever did because it just took some stress, some pressure off of us. You incur legal expense of having those documents drafted, and then it's kind of touch and go. You lock a property up and you go through due diligence process, and you're still negotiating. You don't know for sure that you're going to close. I mean, there's of course the possibility that you walk away from a deal if you find something in due diligence that doesn't make sense. And that was one big lesson, is just the timing, like when to do things and how to, just strategically, what makes most sense. I think that, again, specific to our deals, we in our due diligence process, we needed to identify a third-party property manager. That was a learning experience for us. We thought we were going to just be able to pick up the telephone, interview the top three, property management companies in the student housing space, and then pick which one we wanted, based on those interviews. And we had a lot of people turn us down. As a matter of fact, we thought for a long time that we were going to own 2 properties and not be able to get a property manager on site. And we learned quickly that we needed to take a different approach. It wasn't just a straight interview process. That we had to find, again, a management company that was both entrepreneurial and also had a real strong understanding of our current market, not a national, collegiate market. So we ultimately found that person and that company, and are thrilled that we found them, and they've done a great job so far. That was another great lesson for us. We talked a little bit about the debt part of it, on just being persistent and finding the kind of debt that you're looking for, the structure that you're looking for. It's out there. You just have to, again, be persistent and not leave any stone unturned, and not take no. You can't take no for an answer, because most will say no. You have to find the one that's going to say yes, and they're out there. I think that's really it. I mean, there's a lot more. I could probably talk for hours and hours and hours about all the things we learned, because we learned a lot, but those are some of the main ones.
Well, it's cool stuff. I was just thinking while we were talking, of all the work you put into this thing. I mean, you guys worked hard. You worked your butts off. Right. And at first you were taking fees that I thought were a little bit low, and you decided to jump up your fees a little bit. And so that was kind of a learning lesson too, wasn't it? Because
absolutely. Yeah, that was a big one, for sure. We were 3/4 of the way through the deal. We were under contract for 45 or 60 days or so, and it was just a lot of work. But exciting, it's such an exciting time. Like you don't worry about like the hours you're putting in, because it's just, you're so focused on just accomplishing something. So, but it got to the point where, we had good intentions. Our initial plan was, hey, look, let's put together a deal for investors on this first deal that we're going to do, that is just so good for the investor that they can't say no to us in fundraising, and that, we're not going to fee them down. We're going to take a very, very moderate, conservative fee, and put that money right back into the deal in the form of equity. And it got to the point where we were working so much and there was so much involved that we just felt strongly that we just frankly deserved a bigger acquisition fee for putting it together. And so we did that. We circulated something to the people that had already committed to invest. It's just telling them that we were going to do this. We were, of course, concerned about pushback on that, and ultimately got none at all. Because I think people, especially investors who are business people themselves, or obviously they wouldn't be investors if they weren't successful people. They understand the amount of work it takes to put a deal like this together, and I think everyone really, they felt strongly also that we deserved to be compensated, and that we were presenting them with an opportunity with and we were doing it in a way that wasn't abusive at all to them as an investor. So we had no resistance at all, and we upped our fee.
That's amazing. I've been doing this for 30 plus years, and I'm still learning. So we're all learning new stuff.
Right.
So it's interesting to hear what you learned on your first deal. Well, you guys have kind of set up your financial future. On these two deals alone, you're probably going to generate 7-figure plus. Tell us what 2014 looks like for your business as you kind of look out in 2014, and maybe even a little bit farther beyond.
Yeah, I mean, we have really high and great expectations. We think that we have found our niche in the student housing market. We feel like we have really become experts in the value add mid-market space, and we're currently looking at more deals. I mean, I think 2014, our goal is to buy at least 2 more deals in 2014, if not 3 more deals in 14. We're set up to do that. We now have a big investor database that we can go back to, and our first deal so far is delivering on our projections, and so there's no reason for our investors to feel anything but optimistic about another deal that we bring to them, and we're hoping that our investor pool expands, that we continue to get new people in that are interested in this space as well. And we have really high hopes. We really think that we have found our spot, and that we're going to continue to acquire while still focusing on the management of the first 2 deals that we bought, and executing the strategy that we're going into those deals with.
That's awesome. You guys have really set a nice foundation for your business to expand and grow over the coming years. And obviously, we're sitting at a great time to be buying real estate, because real estate got blasted over the last number of years. And as real estate cycles go, we're on the upcycle, and so the timing is perfect for you. But I want you to look back. I mean, you started this process, and there were some things holding you back to finally getting going, and then you got going. What would you say to others that are in the same spot as you guys were, that wanted to get going, but were either afraid or something was holding them back? What would you say to them?
You got to take the first step. It's the first step for me, beyond just conceptually, talking conceptually about what you want to do. The first step for us, it became real once we started working on our pitch book. Once we got that going, and we started kind of talking about deals and talking about our strategy and really what we wanted to do, then it became real. And once you take that step, it's the snowball effect. You just get rolling, and you gotta, you can't. There are no days off. You can't. You just continue to focus on the micro. You gotta. It's task heavy. Like, there's a lot of things to do from beginning to end to close a deal, but you got to focus on your task list and get something accomplished every single day. And my partner happens to be exceptional at that, at continuously working at the task list and just checking things off, and you'll be surprised that once you start doing that and you get in the habit of doing it, that things just start moving, and before you know it, you own a deal.
Awesome, Adam. Thanks so much for sharing your experience with us and taking the big step to get your business finally going. And kudos to you, because sky's the limit for you. Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this interview, and to get more information on Adam Ross, I encourage you to go over to his website, check it out. It's pragmainvestments.com. That's Pragma Investments.com to get more information on him. Also, I want to make a mention here. If you're at some point in your real estate career right now where you feel like you're ready to step into the change, you're ready for that transition, you're ready to reinvent your business, using syndication, then I really encourage you to check out one of our upcoming training and coaching programs, because this stuff is new. This stuff is different, and it's helping people. So to get more information, go over to our website at www.thewealthysyndicator.com. Okay? I hope you enjoyed the interview. For any other questions, comments, or ideas, you can always email me at craig@valuehoundacademy.com. That's craig@valuehoundacademy.com. Catch up with you later.